Hey, welcome to Draft Academy. My name is Mike. In this tutorial, I want to talk to you guys about creating a multiple choice test in JavaScript. So we're actually going to write a program that will allow us to create a bunch of multiple choice questions, and then our program will take all those questions, ask the user the questions, and then record the score that the user gets. So this is going to be awesome. I just want to show you guys some stuff that I already have here. The first thing I have is this variable called questions. And this is a variable that I created before the video. And basically it just stores all the questions that we want to use in our multiple choice test. And I'll show you how I laid them out. So in here, I basically have three objects. And this questions array is just a list of like question objects. So I have this guy right here, this guy right here, and this one down here. So all of these objects actually represent a multiple choice question. So over here, you can see that I have the prompt, and this is basically like the question itself. So it's asking what color are apples? Are they red and green, purple, or orange? And then over here, I'm giving the answer. So the answer in our case is A, because apples are red and green. And I have the same thing for another question. So what color are bananas? A, teal, B, magenta, or C, yellow. You guys gotta get the point. Like, I'm creating an array of question objects. And then what I'm gonna do is we'll write a program that will go through this array, and it'll grab each question, it'll ask the question, get the answer, and figure out what the user, how the user did. So did they get it right or wrong? So if you want to follow along, you can just create an array just like this with your own custom questions using this prompt name and the answer using this answer name. I also have another variable called score, and score is just set equal to 0 here. So that's gonna be like how many questions the user got right. So let's go about asking these questions. What I wanna do is I basically want to loop through all the questions inside of that array, and individually I wanna ask each question, I wanna get the user's response, I wanna figure out if that response is correct or not, and then I'll tell them whether or not they got the question right. In order to do this, our best bet is to use a for loop. So I'm gonna say for var I is equal to 0, I, so we wanna loop while I is less than questions.length. So we wanna loop for as many questions there are inside of that questions array. And finally, we just wanna say I++, so we'll increment I. So this is our basic like for loop structure. Now, inside of this for loop, we can actually start writing some code. The first thing that we want to do is we want to ask the question to the user, and then we want to be able to get their response. So I'm going to create a variable, and we'll just call this response. And I'm just going to set it equal to window.prompt, and this will open up a window prompt where we can enter in some text. And inside of this prompt, this is gonna be the text that the user is gonna see. So this is basically like whatever I put inside these parentheses will be like what you're prompting the user to enter in. And we already have that prompt attribute inside of our questions array, which has all the questions. So I can say questions, and I wanna access the specific question that we're looping through. So I'm gonna say I, and then I can say dot prompt. And what this will do is it'll access that question prompt that we defined up there in that questions array. So this looks pretty good to me. Now, once we have the user's response, we want to figure out if they got the answer right or not. So I'm gonna make an if statement. Whoops, and in here, we can basically just check to see if the response is equal to the answer to the question. So the answer to the question is stored inside of that question object. So I can say questions, and I want to access the specific question that's getting looped through right now, and we can say dot answer. So if the response that they give is equal to the current question, then we're going to be good to go. So if that is indeed the case, then down here we can just increment the score. So I can say score plus plus. So if they got the question right, we'll give them an extra score. And actually, why don't we alert to them that they got the question right? So we'll say correct. Then we can say else, so if they didn't get the question right, we'll just yell at them. So we'll give them an alert, and it'll say wrong. So that's basically all we need to ask the question, and then over here we're like grading the question. So once we've done that loop, then we want to just come down here and tell the user how they did. So we can just alert out you got, and will basically just alert out how many questions they got right out of the total. So we can say you got score plus out of, and then over here we'll just type in how many questions there were. So there were questions.length, number of questions. So that'll give us our score. So now let's come over here to our browser and see if we can play our game. So I'm gonna refresh the page, and here we are. So we have, this is displaying a little bit weird, but we have what color are apples? A, red, green, B, purple, or C, orange. So let's go ahead and enter in the right answer, which is gonna be A, apples are indeed red and green. And you'll see here we get that correct response. So we got the question right. Now let's get the question wrong. So what color are bananas? Teal, magenta, or yellow? Let's just say that they're B, magenta. So this should be wrong. So now we should get a prompt saying that you're wrong, right? So it's gone ahead and graded the question, and it's determined that we got the wrong answer. Last one is the last question. And what color are strawberries? Strawberries are red, so we'll click B, and then we'll hit enter. Now we should get a correct response. And actually, I got a wrong response here. I must have put this wrong in the questions array. Yeah, so this is my bad. Over here in the questions array, I had strawberries answer equal to A. It should have been B. That's my bad, but nonetheless, the program is still working as we wanted it to. So I'll click OK, and now this will give me the score that I got. So it'll tell me you got 1 out of 3 correct. So obviously the strawberries question was kind of rigged a little bit, but basically what it did was it asked us all those questions and it kept track of how we were doing. And then at the end, it printed out how we did. So we got 1 out of 3 questions correct. So that's sort of how we can build our little multiple choice test. And what's great about this is if I add in another question into this questions array, our loop over here will automatically be able to handle it. So it doesn't matter how many questions are in that questions array. The loop will just go through until we're out of questions to ask, and it'll keep track of the score no matter what. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to Draft Academy to be the first to know when we release new content. Also, we're always looking to improve, so if you have any constructive criticism or questions or anything, leave a comment below. Finally, if you're enjoying Draft Academy and you want to help us grow, head over to draftacademy.com/contribute and invest in our future.